Have you noticed you're getting more spam text messages?
Oh yeah, they're increasing just as we head into the holiday season. In the Consumer First Alert, Tammy Elliott asks state consumer experts, how do scammers get your number?
This is a top complaint. The Federal Trade Commission has more than 2 million complaints about calls violating the Do Not Call registry. And those spam text messengers, they're an even bigger problem. Americans received 12 billion robo-texts in September. That's up 9% in a month, according to RoboKiller. However, that app that blocks spam calls and texts says there was a 14% decrease in robocalls. Now, consumer experts say the scammers will ramp up leading into the holidays, impersonating companies you do business with and people you know. I asked the administrator for the Wisconsin Division of Trade and Consumer Protection, how do scammers get your phone number?
Some of it is random generated phone numbers that they are just calling, doing blasts using technology. There are just data banks of information, and scammers just continue to put that together, harvest the information, and sell it to other scammers.
Some tips to decrease scam calls: don't answer calls from unknown numbers. If you answer a robocall, hang up immediately. Don't respond to any questions they ask, especially those that can be answered with yes. Also, check your phone company about call blocking tools. Check into apps to block those unwanted calls. And now some tips to decrease those robo text messages. Don't respond. Block the sender. Be careful about giving out your mobile phone number or any other personal information. You should be able to opt out of receiving texts, but you may have to check or uncheck a pre-selected box to do so. And Wisconsin law protects cell phone users from unwanted text messages. If your cell phone number is on that Do Not Call registry, unsolicited text sales pitches are illegal. And as you know, technology is evolving. Artificial intelligence is being used to clone voices for scam calls, so you have to be extra careful. They're getting more deceptive. But AI also can be used by the good guys. The FCC has a meeting later this month. They'll be discussing how they can use AI to fight fraud. Tammy Elliott, Action 2 News.